Hi everyone, this is Diana with Learning Matters here. Welcome to our Lunch and Learn series. Today we have Mr. Ron Shuwatli with us. He is a transformational speaker. He's an incredible human being, and he's known as the Messiah of the Mind. So his purpose is to really help families, corporations, children really find new possibilities of being. He has incredible areas that he works in. One of the areas that I really love is that you get to create solutions for problems like bullying, poor self-esteem, conflict resolution, all of these areas that I know that most of you parents out there are super interested in. So I get the pleasure of welcoming you to our Lunch and Learn today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. So let's get into one of the topics that I'm super interested in because you have a master's in education.
Yes.
You've been in this field for decades.
Yep.
And so you've been able to see the different areas or the different eras of education. So
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about the last 10 years. What have been the trends in education and where are we going?
So what I found is that people focus a lot less on the actual degree. I have a master's in education. I got a bachelor's in business. But what I've seen through life is that most of what I've learned is based on real life experience. So when I got my bachelor's, maybe 2 classes was entrepreneurship and negotiations. Everything that I learned was when I ran a GNC nutrition store, when I did real estate, when I did sales for a gym. All the information that I knew that I share with people, I knew before my master's, but I got my master's of education because I knew that even though spending $30,000 and spending 3 years at night doing it would get me 3 letters after my name. And those letters are MED, and those letters I knew because I wanted to play inside the system would get me better speaking gigs and more connections, and absolutely 100% has. It's totally skyrocketed my speaking career. What I've seen is that there's more organizations that are focusing less on the actual degree and more on what people know. Social-emotional, the passion of the kids. 95% of kids would, go get a degree and then go to college and try to figure out what to do, which for me is totally backwards. You should figure out what you want to do and then go pursue that school. So there's so many different people that have degrees that aren't even doing what they're supposed to be doing based on that degree. And it's crazy, like when I was growing up, it used to be you would get your degree, have a career, and then you would retire. Now people have 6 or 7 different jobs through their lifetime. Before I was a transformational keynote speaker, I was teaching yoga, karate, and sports in preschools. And then after like 7 or 8 years, I'm like, okay, I got that, I'm focusing on that, and I'm gonna focus on something else. So what I've seen is the major companies, I've seen posts from Google and from Dell and from IBM and from all these different organizations, or Amazon, where they've actually said, listen, don't go to college. When you're done with high school, come to us. We'll train you in what you have to do. And that is such an amazing thing. And also because more of the social emotional is there. Like there's kids that get the degree and the degree just gets them an interview and they have no idea what to do. Like when I used to have more employees, I would hire people, and especially when I have interns and especially when I have assistants. Now I have 4 different assistants, 3 virtual and 1 normal one. People would come up to me and be like, okay, this is what I want you to do, X, Y, and Z. And they look at me, I'm like,
what now?
Okay, they'd be like, okay, so what do you want me to do? I'm like, yeah, you're not the person I'm looking for. Then I have other people, like I have an amazing virtual assistant in Louisiana who I tell her an idea about what I want, and then she comes up with 4 different things, and she's always so respectful. She's like, I'm sorry if I overstepped. I'm sorry if I did this, but I have this, I have this. So I'm like, no, this is awesome. This is what I need. We don't have a lot of free thinking. We don't have a lot of people that focus on what their vision is in their life. I mean, how many times have you seen there's all these different people that have been like Jim Carrey and Bill Gates? Some of these people, they drop out of high school and they go pursue their dream. I say good for them.
Exactly.
Like get out of there as soon as possible. I mean, what I've seen, especially I work in a lot of early childhood preschool, these kids are already taking tests. And there's so much research that's been done. Tests only get you ready for tests. That's it. And what tests are there in life other than a driver's license test? So literally, it's like the way the school system is designed. And one of the videos that I showed during my training is from a company called RSA, called Changing Education Paradigms, is literally how it's all systemized to keep people taking tests. So you take tests in elementary school, to take tests into middle school, to take tests into high school, so you can take another test to get yourself into college, so you can get yourself into debt, and then that's really the bottom line. Tests are not there. There's so many schools now that they're getting rid of tests. They're getting rid of homework, and they're actually teaching kids social skills and life skills and having them go out into nature and doing beautiful things and figuring out what their passions are. Like one of the things I focus on, for the 95% of my kids, I tell them what to do, they do it. For the 5%, the alpha boy, the alpha girl, the king and the queen, they don't want to do anything. They were like me staring out the window. Like I ask most people, like when you ask your kids, what's your favorite dinosaur? Right. Most of them say, what do you think?
They'll say the T-Rex or...
Exactly. There you go. But you got nothing left. That's most people. But then some kids, I'll ask one kid, he'll go, well, are you talking omnivore, herbivore, or carnivore? Are you talking about the flying pterodactyl, the four-legged brachiosaurus or brontosaurus? Are you talking about the tyrannosaurus, the smaller one, the allosaurus, the smaller one, the velociraptor? Are you talking about the spiked ones, the allosaurus, the ankylosaurus, or the stegosaurus? So obviously you can tell I like dinosaurs. Do you think any teacher ever asked, ever cared, ever picked up on that? No one. If someone would have asked me about dinosaurs and give me an opportunity to show what I learned about them, I'd be Indiana Jones instead of doing what I'm doing.
Wow.
So what I do is I find the vision of what these kids have. I want to be a dancer, I want to be a singer, I want to be a baker. Great. What I do is because most of the time, like I do a lot of work in behavior management. And these kids, no matter what, they're not going to do what you want them to do. And there's still teachers that live in the world that I tell a child to do something.
And they must do it.
Yeah, and they must do it. And they're surprised when they don't. I'm like, what's your reasoning? Well, I'm bigger, I have an education, I'm this, I'm that, I want them to be safe. I ask them, got it, do the kids care? Yeah. And they're like, no. So they're stuck in the mindset of what to do for themselves instead of doing what I do, which is giving kids an opportunity. If there's a kid that loves talking about cars, my mind automatically goes in 20 years, they're going to be a race car driver, a mechanic, a space shuttle flyer, space shuttle pilot, whatever it is. And then I go and say, listen, how about I give you an opportunity, you're going to do a 5-minute show. And I work, like I said, with early childhood kids. So all of a sudden, this 5-year-old now gets 5 minutes a day to talk about airplanes or to talk about race cars or whatever it is. And they go home and they research it and they get all excited about it. And then all of a sudden, they get to do this show in front of all the kids that they already have their attention. And then what I do is I say, okay, great. Now here's your choice. Did you love doing the show? Yeah. On the days you want to do the show, you're going to show me by your actions. You're going to be a helper, clean up, do this and do that. And listen, on the days that you don't want to do the show, 100%, just let me know by yelling, screaming, throwing the fits, doing this and doing that. So based on the behaviors of the child determines if they get to do that show or not. So from that point on, it's never up to me anymore. Right. And all of a sudden, and then I also do something. It's a little sneaky. If there's any kids watching, I hope they don't. I created something called fast forward testing. Okay. Because there's parents and adults and teachers that believe that when you tell a child to do something, they're not going to test them. And there's so many times where I've had a teacher go, I'm going to call this person. The kid's like, what's their number? And they're like, I got nothing. So literally what I do is fast forward testing where I say, if you want to do this activity, the show, then you're going to do all these behaviors. If you don't want to do it, throw a fit. So, but all I didn't do anything yet because in their mind they still want to be resistant. Right. So what I say with the fast forward testing is, now, if you don't believe me, throw a fit now so I can show you you're not going to do the show.
Oh my gosh.
So now instead the kid's mindset goes, instead of I'm going to do it because you told me not to, the kid's going to think about it. Their eyes go up and to the right, because if you know anything about neurolinguistic programming, that there's all these processes. You're creating pictures and videos and visions. So they're creating a picture in 1 second of them not doing the show. And then they turn to me and go, you're not going to trick me into not doing my show. I'm not going to do. And all of a sudden every behavior changes. Why? Because finally for the first time, I figured out a way how to get this child to choose to change their behavior as opposed to all the other stuff going on, which is you do it because of blah, 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 blah. Right. And teachers are learning that more, and they're becoming more of an understanding of the social-emotional skills that it takes. You know, like I said, there's the alpha boy, the alpha girl, the king and the queen. They run the classroom already. You know, I've seen it. I have 4-year-olds that go up to the kid, you're not invited to your own birthday party. And, and the girl's like, hey, can you do that? Teacher's like, I'm not invited either. I don't know what to do. Yeah, so that's kind of like the flow.
I love that. So I'm picking up on a few things. Number one, that our system is changing to a place of awareness. Finally, right? So we're not in this industrial revolution era anymore where you get to sit and look at the back of somebody else, and that's become a very just educating or just receiving all this information. But now we're getting kids to think about choice.
Right.
And think about being resourceful as well. Because
and we're doing less educating, which is downloading our information into them to spit it back to a test. And we're doing more educing, which is where we pull it out of them and see what do they want to talk about and what's more passionate for them, so we can help them get to their goals, not help them get to our goals.
Right. I absolutely love that this is happening in our education system. And I want to see it happen worldwide. And different countries do it differently, but here in America, especially in Florida where I live, there is just a lot of resistance still in the area of socio-emotional learning. So I want to see more of these conversations happening, so that educators can begin to get that they can get so much more out of a child if they offer choice, if they offer critical thinking, if they offer creativity, all of these things that help kids just thrive. So,
and the teachers are going to be happier,
right?
Because instead of just doing the same monotonous stuff over and over and over, if you stop and go, hey, what do you want to talk about today? And one of the kids goes, I want to talk about shoes. And you're like, oh, okay. And then they start talking about it. My mind automatically goes, 20 years from now, fashion designer, 20 years from now, they're going to create the most amazing ergonomically designed sneaker that's going to allow people to blah, this and that. And it's awesome. And you get to, and now all this too, if the kids are talking to you and they're telling you about their passion, you don't have to do anything. You just sit there and get to listen and just be amazed. It's like, wow, I didn't know that about you. That's so cool.
And they are our biggest teachers, at least as an educator. I find them to be my biggest teacher, because there are things that I haven't even considered. And when I get to sit and listen to their ideas and their concepts, I'm completely blown away by their futuristic abilities. So I love it. So this is something that we get to have here for parents. This Lunch and Learn is really for parents to find ways, and for educators too, and anyone watching. But I love the work that you do around, I love this concept, Messiah of the mind, creating possibilities, being able to problem solve rather than live in a problem-based environment. Let's find solutions to help our kids thrive. So I wanted to ask you, what are some of the tools that you would have for our parents to help them inspire their kids?
So when somebody initially called me at a conference, like I'm like a messiah of the mind, like I free their mind, I kind of took that on, was a little skeptical. I'm like, I don't know if I should really use this, but I'm like, you know what? It's nice. Because what happens is that literally freeing your mind of your own obstruction allows for infinite possibilities. So for example, one thing I always talk about as we kind of get in our own way is we as human beings create expectations. Have you ever created an expectation?
Oh, absolutely.
So so think about this, and over there, whoever's watching, have you ever created an expectation for another human being, never shared the expectation with them? So when they don't fulfill the expectation that they know nothing about, who are you upset at?
So I love this. I normally get upset at them, right? Because I created this expectation. And I think this is for the ladies out there. Like, I have created expectations about people, whether it is
just you, nobody else.
Showing up for me in certain ways. And it's true, like, it's so true what you're saying. Creating an expectation, not communicating that expectation, and then really sitting there and getting upset because they haven't followed through something I created in my own mind.
So can I give you, I literally want to do an example of what we do all the time. So ready? I'm going to create an expectation. I'm going to do to her what we do all the time. So ready? Here we go. Ready? Here we go. Why didn't you do it?
Oh my God, do what?
So I created an expectation that you were going to go YMCA and you were going to do it 2 times. You didn't do it. I didn't tell you about the expectation. There's no reason you should have known to do it. I'm mad at you. How does that make sense?
Exactly.
We do it all the time.
We do it to our kids all the time.
We do it to the kids. We expect our kids to act a certain way. We expect our husbands or wives or boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever to be that way. We expect teachers. Parents create parents. You do this. You create expectations. Don't yell at me if you do, because don't create an expectation. I'm not going to call you out on it. But parents create an expectation that when they send their kids to school, the teachers will teach them respect, discipline, how to follow the rules. So that when they go home, the kids will be disciplined and follow the rules like they're in The Sound of Music. Hello, father. Hello, mother. How may I help you clean? And that's it. And then afterwards, when they don't do that, they go up to the teacher and go, how bad was he today? And the teacher goes, oh, well, listen, he was challenging at the beginning of the morning because, it's Monday and the rules are different at home and in school. And then all of a sudden, we gave him some responsibilities, we gave him some ideas, we did some breathing, we did this, we did that, he's awesome. And the parents sitting there fuming going, no, seriously, don't lie to me. How bad was he? Because they can't even fathom that the child changes their behavior based on the way they are. Kids are super brilliant computer minds. They literally, when they meet an adult, they look at them, evaluate them, process them, and then they test them by going, oh, you didn't buy into that? Let me try something else. Boom. And then whatever way that they respond is the way that that child acts towards them immediately. And then parents don't even realize that because they have an expectation. Right. Here's another crazy expectation. How many parents do you know when they have their first kid, they go and they take parenting classes, they watch videos, they watch books? Most people don't, but they're going to have a brand new puppy or a kitten. They go and they read books and videos and they ask questions, this and that, because they don't have an expectation that they know how to raise a dog. Right. But somewhere in their mind, they've created an expectation going, you're not going to tell me how to raise it. I'm going to do my best. And I go, based on what information? If you go to a mechanic with your brand new car, are you going to tell the mechanic what to do? If you're going to go into a surgeon for something going on with your heart, your lungs, whatever, are you going to tell your surgeon, listen, I know you've been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years, but I think, let me tell you exactly what you... No, it's insane. It's insane that parents believe, sorry to say it, it's insane that people believe that they know what's better than an educator that every single year gets brand new kids. And kids are changing every 3 to 5 years. So imagine 20 years ago, right now, how do you open your phone? Show me with your hands, how do you open your phone?
Fingerprint.
Fingerprint, okay, cool. 5 years ago, how'd you open your phone?
Oh my God, I don't even remember, but I think there was a code somewhere.
Okay, 10 years ago, how'd you open your phone?
It was a brick, it was already set.
It was, but some people, they would go like
some
this.
Some have flip phones.
Yeah, 20 years ago, how'd you open your phone?
Was it a beeper?
A phone, but a phone. You would pick it up off the thing.
Yeah.
You'd have that thing called the cord.
See?
And exactly. And if you were privileged and you would have one of those long cords that travels around, you could see them in museums right now. But basically, that's it. So
the kids are like, what?
If technology advances every 3 to 5 years, what do you think is happening to a child's brain?
Yes, to the brain.
They're supercomputers. So if there are teachers that are waiting for the kids to go back to the way that they were. My question that I always ask anybody, adults, whatever, how's that working?
Yeah.
How's that working? Is it working for you? Are you getting upset? What expectation are you creating for other kids? What expectation are you creating for these kids? You think they're going to sit down, they're going to be quiet.
Right.
I have teachers that they do circle time, and circle time is so boring, but they expect the kids. They come in from being outside in the morning, it's bright and sunny, not a cloud in the sky, then they spend 10 minutes playing the what's the weather game, where the weather helper is supposed to take the thing off of the board and go, what's the weather, what's the weather? And then the kid's supposed to look out the window. The sun is beaming in. They just came from outside. The other kids are sitting there like, it's sunny, it's sunny, it's sunny. And the one beamer, one's kid, he's looking outside in the weather. He's like, it's like, no, it's sunny. Like, why are you doing that? Why are you wasting 10 minutes a day? Sit and I do something called open mic. I'll just sit there and just, hey, who wants to say something? Some of the kids look at my shoes, my this, my that, whatever. All of a sudden, some kids, like you said, oh, well, I did this over the weekend and this and that, whatever, and then we start a conversation.
I love that, starting a conversation. Some of the kids, two things. That I love the fact that our kids are growing. Their minds are expanding. We see the shift from decade to decade, now probably sooner, right? But here's what I'm looking at is that parents create this expectation, and I think it's part of it. It's because there's this guilt in our society, that this burden that parents must be perfect, that parents aren't human, and so they must know all the answers. And if their child doesn't operate or behave a certain way, then it reflects on them. And I think part of it's all of their own internal work that must be done. I call it conscious parenting. Their internal work. All this internal stuff.
All this stuff is in the mind.
But it's like, let it out, release it. Your child, I tell parents all the time, your child didn't come with a handbook.
Right.
But he came with a heck of a lesson. And they're put in your life.
Right.
Like, literally, your children choose you to be their parent because there's something in their behavior, in their thinking, in their way of being, that it's a reflection of something that must be healed within the parent themselves.
Have you ever seen a movie called Bad Moms?
No, but I would love to see it.
It's an awesome movie. Bad Moms, Mila Kunis, and there's a couple other people in it. And there's
She's
one
awesome.
scene at the end, I love her. There's one scene at the end of the movie where they're just standing up talking about just like, they gave up trying to look perfect in front of everyone. And she's like, I forgot my kid at the store. Another one's like, I fed him this. Another one's, I did this, I did. And they're standing up like they're at AA, admitting all the different things. And now it's all of a sudden at this PTA meeting, everybody starts talking about the horrible things that they've done. And people are just like, oh, you're a human. You're a human. And the craziest part is, sorry, I have to adjust my Yogurati bandana plug.
I love it.
So they create all these expectations, and that's the whole entire thing. This is all in the mind. The biggest thing why I've been called the Messiah of the mind is because the lie that we've been taught is that our mind, the voice in our head, the one that judges us, tells us how we're supposed to be, makes up stories about somebody. We've been taught that's real, and it's not. The brain is real. The pituitary, the left cortex, the right, whatever, all those different fancy words, whatever.
All the hemispheres.
Yeah, exactly. All the hemispheres, this and that, the pineal gland, whatever, the cerebral, medulla oblongata, and all the other words that I remember that I don't know what they mean. But we've been taught that the mind is real, and reality is supposed to be how the mind is, when it's the opposite. Reality is reality. You're the way that you are. How many people, parents, how many of you judge yourself? You look in the mirror and you look at your physical body and your mind tells you how you're supposed to look based on no information other than your mind, and then you choose to get yourself upset or be mad or this and that instead of just you look at your body, whatever it is, with your scars, with your whatever, and go, okay, this is the way that I am. Boom, moving on. I'm going to get a cup of coffee. So that's the whole entire thing. We believe that our mind is real, and then when somebody even on TV says something that upsets us, they don't know we exist, they don't care about that, but we literally...
Here we are getting mad.
We get mad at them, but we're literally upsetting our body's chemistry and physically choosing. Have you ever heard somebody say getting mad at somebody else is like drinking poison waiting for them to die?
Absolutely. So it's mind-blowing, right? I've done it for so long where I decided to play the withdraw game. You know, I'm going to get upset at this person because they have not met my expectation. And obviously I didn't have the language back then.
Your foot.
And I stomp my foot and I cross my arms and I take it personal. And my thing is, okay, they'll see that I'm upset, and so I'll create all of this turmoil inside my body.
Meanwhile, they see you're upset and they feel better.
Oh, okay.
They either don't care or they go, ha, gotcha. And they actually feel better, so you're reinforcing their joy and happiness and sabotaging your own.
Right. And I tell parents that all the time. Your children will behave, let them behave.
Yes.
But it's what you say. Set the tone for that interaction. Let them understand what your core values are and how you want to create and co-create with them in that space, because they're also creators and they get that awesome privilege of being able to co-create with you in your family home, in the academic setting, wherever they are, and allow them to be who they are. One of the things that blows my mind at the moment, Ron, and for you probably, you've been in this field for so long, is that I get a call every single day from a parent that goes, I don't know what to do. The school just called and they want my child evaluated because they have determined, diagnosed or misdiagnosed, that the child has ADD and ADHD. For me, the numbers are staggering, right? And what are your thoughts about that?
If the school tells you to do it just to appease them, but get a couple of suggestions. But sometimes, see, what I found is that ADHD and ADD, and this is my opinion, so feel free to judge me as much as you want because you're doing it already. You're wondering why I'm wearing my Yogurati outfit having this conversation. If you have a child that has a lot of energy and they're this and they're that or whatever, people say they have too much energy, they have ADHD. That same child, when they're 15 years old and they're running up and down a sports field and they're faster than everybody and they can catch a ball or run faster and they have 7 scouts from 7 different colleges, now does that have child have too much energy, or the other kids have too little energy? ADHD is a conversation of inconvenience. It's so simple for you to look at a child and go, wow, I'm going to have to work a lot harder, not have to, I get to work a lot harder and come up with more ideas and more activities for this child to to do, or I can just take 4 letters, label this kid, and now he's out of my classroom. I don't have to worry about it. And guess what? There's teachers that have checked out, that have tenure, that have no interest in doing anymore because of all the expectations in their minds. It doesn't make a difference. Plus, there's so many other things that are available to kids. If you think you have a child that has ADHD or too much energy or whatever, you know what? You don't need medication, because medication is all designed for, it's so crazy how we have all these different things out there, and we're afraid of our kids getting involved with drug dealers. But what I see is the drug dealers are right out in front. It actually says drug store on
That's
there.
right.
Yeah, and the drug dealers are those people that they're usually about this much higher than you with the white coats. They're called pharmacists. And then the drug what's called the drug pushers, pharmaceutical reps, the doctors. Those are the ones that we should be really afraid of, because they're just giving that. They're not looking for solutions. I do martial arts. I wasn't born in this country. I was born in Israel. I'm more studying a Eastern philosophy. Where here, if you have a pain in your back, a pain in your neck, the American philosophy is anti-inflammatories, muscle relaxers, cover up the symptom, wham, wham, wham.
Yeah.
If you get a fever, I'm a little uncomfortable. Your body creates a temperature and a fever to kill the virus, so it'll be out of your system in 1 or 2 days.
Right.
You as an adult have an expectation, I shouldn't feel uncomfortable. You take these drugs and all of a sudden you're literally fighting against your body, and now you're sick for a week, but you'll blame this or you'll blame that. Yeah. Instead of Eastern philosophy, which is figure out what the problem is and then handle the problem at its root. So you have a lower back problem, I tell people stretch your hamstrings or stretch your glutes, all of a sudden it goes away. Yeah. If you have a problem with kids that have too much energy, first of all, too much energy is just a perception.
It's a perception.
It's a perception. You know what? Put them in a martial arts class. Put them in a wrestling class. Put them in a soccer program.
Walk them to school.
Walk them to school. Oh, you can't ask parents to walk them to school. You can't ask parents to do something like that. I'm kidding. People are
Get a trampoline.
Exactly, but get a trampoline for the house. How many times are there people, adults, that have tons of energy or whatever it is? Their office manager doesn't go, you have ADHD, you need medication. You wouldn't dare do that. So you get an ergonomic desk, you get one of those bouncy balls, whatever it is. Now when you look at Google and all these big organizations, kids are constantly moving around. They're getting their work done. They're working less hours, but they're being more productive because there's more energy out there. Yeah. The whole thing with ADHD, for me, is just, if you want to cop out, that's totally fine, but how does it help your kid? And how does it help your kid when, if you've ever seen kids on ADHD medication, they're zombies. They're zombies. Why are you doing that to your kids? And then listen, I get that some kids have tons of energy. Put them in a karate school. Put them in a karate school in the morning. Put them in a wrestling class in the afternoon. Put them in soccer. Yeah. Do something with them. Throw them on. Go on to I do yogarati. It's yoga and martial arts together. So it's the martial arts, but it's also the breathing. They can go onto my YouTube channel and they can pull up the yogarati playlist. There's over 25 different videos. Some are 2 minutes long. Some are 5 minutes long. Here, boom. Instead of just handing your kid an iPad and letting them figure stuff out, which who knows what they can find. They'll be on like the black market list with like plutonium or something in 5 minutes. They can go on and practice some breathing, some stretching, some this and that. If you want to try with them and if you want to feel better, you can, but you don't have to. But that's it. You letting that energy flow.
So, love that. I have to repeat this because you could not have said it better. ADD and ADHD, it's a conversation of convenience or inconvenience.
100%.
So this is probably, it's going to be the highlight quote of my year.
Nice.
Because I don't understand how so many educators and parents too, I'm really sorry, but parents too, have now reduced themselves to this system of pushing down medication. And I see kids as a light, right? And when they're given this medication, it literally turns off the light. The one thing that makes them shine and be special and be who they are, it seems like that pill or that thing shuts it out.
Because
and
the
it
parent
breaks my
that
heart.
gives it and the doctor that gives it, it's not about the kid. It's about the adult.
It's about how can this child behave so that my classroom functions, so my family functions, so I feel comfortable, rather than figure out what works for this child and what do I get to do as a mom or as an educator to enhance whatever their skills are and help them also find behavior, because I believe that there's a way of introducing behavior modification in the classroom where the child understands the concept of choice. I get the choice to behave this way, or I get the choice to behave this other way, and these are the tools available to me, and teach them as a child, what are the tools that I can pick from this box to help me in this moment self-regulate.
See, I love what you said. You said behavior modification, which is what I teach. I don't teach behavior management. What I found behavior management is this. A child displays a behavior that you don't want them to do. You give them a consequence that they don't care about. They then do the behavior anyway because they get what they want, which is the attention. Then they get the consequence they don't care about, and then 10 or 15 minutes later, when they want the behavior again, they want your attention, they do it again. So they're actually managing your behavior. So you're doing behavior management, but they're in charge. What I do is behavior modification, which I do a lot of auditory, visual, and kinesthetic cues that work with the body, because there's all these different systems. There's this Olveus behavior management system, and there's this conscious discipline, all these other things, but they all focus on the mind. But every single child's mind is different, but our bodies are the same. If I tell you right now, if I say up, and play with me with this game. If I say up, you say
down.
If I say left, you say
right.
If I say stop, you say
go.
You all have oppositional defiance disorder. We are initially oppositional. Ready? People at home too. From this point on, you're not allowed to raise your hands in the air because I told you so. Exactly. You do it. Ready? I don't want to hear another peep out of you.
Right.
Exactly. So you do it. So that doesn't work. So what I do is I do auditory and visual cues. First thing I do is called the pattern interrupt. So I did it in class. I do it in corporate settings. When I do corporate training, it doesn't make a difference. I'll make noises, do accents or anything. If I'm not getting the attention of 30, 40 people, and this works, I do assembly programs in schools in front of 200, and the kids aren't paying attention. I'll just bark,
like,
move, and then they all look, and all I need is for 2 seconds. And that's it. So I do animal noises now, but notice also your mind is going to start going, I'm not going to do that, blah, blah. You're going to make up a story to sabotage yourself. Or you can just go, moo, and your kid looks at you for a second like, what just happened? Then you do part two. Part two is called the pre-frame. It's an over-the-top obnoxious hint as what you want them to do. Regular pre-frame that I use is called I like the way. So if I have a classroom with 20 kids that are running around and I go, meow, they all look at me and go, I like the way you're sitting crisscross. I like the way you're sitting crisscross. They all sit crisscross. Auditory cue. So for example, I'm going to ask you a question. Is my favorite color, you kind of gives it away, but okay, so how about this? Let's say my favorite color wasn't blue. If I said to you, is my favorite color purple? Is my favorite color green? Which one would you think?
I would say green.
Right, because I changed my voice. It was auditory cue. If I say to you, do I want you running or do I want you sitting? Which one?
I'll go, oh, okay, I want to sit.
So basically I'll do, I like the way you're sitting, I like the way you're sitting. Do I want you running or do I want you sitting? So it's auditory cue, it's a visual cue, it's a kinesthetic cue, and then everybody knows what I want them to do. Yes. And there's no orders, there's no instructions. Yes. So that oppositional wall. And the third part, the part that's the best part.
And they feel like they're choosing.
Exactly, that's the whole entire point. And the third part is called the power look. Because there's parents that have been taught, they do the upset look, the disappointment, they do this one. The only time I ever see teachers take a breath is when they go like this. Like that, when a kid does something. So
Tony.
Yeah, exactly. How dare, do you know how this makes me feel, this and that or whatever, which is a whole nother conversation about how we've been taught to believe that other people can make us feel a certain way.
Yes.
Like I've seen teachers go, tell him how he makes you feel when he says those words to you. Tell her how she makes you feel when she doesn't share. So the programming we put to little kids is, other people can make me feel a certain way. And now you have a whole entire planet, a whole society where you watch TV. He made me feel this way. She made me feel this way. He did this. He did that. In reality, nothing happens. There's nothing. Reality, what happens is you hear words, you process them, you interpret them, you give them meaning, and you respond and react in a millisecond. And because you're not taught that you did that to yourself, you look externally for everybody else in your joy and happiness.
Wow.
So what I know, my microphone drops, right? But with the power look, instead of the upset look, the fresh, kids do something. How many times have you had a kid that runs, falls, looks around, there's no adult, gets up, and then falls again? And in one of my trainings, I actually have a video that I got from America's Funniest Home Video of a baby, maybe a year old, that literally is walking. The second they see the camera, they fall down. If you go onto my YouTube channel and you type in where it says staff playlist, these are all videos that I show in my workshops.
Okay.
That's one of the videos there where the kid falls and then down. And then all of a sudden when the parent walks away, camera walks away, And then the kid goes, sees the camera again, falls on the ground. I mean, literally, like, falls like a pro wrestler, like, face first, smashes his head into the ground, and starts crying. So instead of doing your upset look, your sad look, your disappointed look, what I do is called the power look.
Show us the power.
And the power look is basically like this. So right now I'm looking at you and I'm communicating, and then I look away, and then if I see you displaying a behavior I don't want, I just go, I like the way that you're following directions. I love the way you're...
Huh. Wow.
So the difference is...
Now
well, let me ask you a question, okay? You see the emotional response, like the difference between happy, happy, this and that. Where am I looking when I'm doing the power look?
I want to say that you're looking into my eyes.
Okay, good. That's what most people believe. I'm looking at the top of your forehead.
Huh.
I look at the top of the forehead and I hum or I sing row, row, row your boat in my mind because I don't need my own monkey mind to kick in to start sabotaging, going, this isn't going to work.
Wow.
So the behavior system is, move! All the kids look at you. I love the way you're following directions. I love the way you're following directions. Do I want you running or do I want you sitting? And then you'll have the alpha boy, the alpha girl go, you want me running. And in their mind it goes, now make the face because I want to be entertained. And then instead of you making the face of, or you're not being a good listener, you just go. If I looked at the camera and I just went,
people are like, what? I say it interrupts the brain.
Good job, buddy, you're doing. Exactly. It interrupts the brain and the body feels it. And now from that point on, the child gets to make a choice. Do I want a non-emotional look with no response whatsoever, or do I want the happy look that this child's getting and that child's getting? And this is all scientifically proven based on the studies of this gentleman named Dr. Paul Ekman, who they actually had a show about 10 years ago called Lie to Me that was created. Tim Roth was the actor. He played a Dr. Cal Lightman. And all he was a lie detection specialist. Wow. And Dr. Paul Ekman's study came up after. I went, this is amazing. And I took all the tests and I did his studies and this and that. And it's amazing. He trains FBI profilers. Wow. And these kids are FBI profilers. That's all they do. They literally look at people and they look at their parents and they look at their teachers and they go, oh, I see, it's all micro expression. So if you're upset, your nose might contract. Okay. This might go up like that. If you tell a lie, if I tell a lie and I think you believe me, that little smile might just happen. And these kids are masterful at it. You know why? Because now we're dropping kids off at preschool at 6 weeks old.
Yes.
And they sit there as a baby and they watch. They throw a bottle on the ground. Teacher picks it up. They throw the bottle on the ground again. Teacher picks it up. 3 other babies see that. They're throwing bottles on the ground. And the teacher's like, why are you throwing bottles on the ground? You shouldn't be doing that. Which when you say the word should, you immediately set an expectation. And I go, well, why are you picking it up? They're bored. You're playing a game called the pick up the bottle game. So you can either have your mind believe that they should be a different way, or when a child throws a bottle on the ground and then looks at you with that look of do it, then you go, and then the child doesn't do it anymore.
And wow, so much content.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to rewatch because there's the brain, there's the body, there's a mind-body connection, and there are scientific tricks really to help interrupt a thought pattern or a behavioral pattern that this child has learned.
It's called the pattern interrupt. Tony Robbins calls them state changes. Absolutely, 100%. Immediately interrupt the pattern. Yep.
And that's it. So I can only imagine if parents were able to get uncomfortable, because honestly, as I'm watching you, I go, wow, this is brilliant. And then I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if a parent would go out there and go, or, you know.
But there's your mind thinking about what their mind might do instead of just doing it.
So do it. I think I'm going to start using it in my coaching.
Amazing, absolutely. Because
sometimes there's that need to interrupt something that is happening to get that child to rethink their choices.
Even the parent. Imagine if a parent all of a sudden so looking at the phone, you're like, moo, what? So we're going to talk about this. And the parent will be like, and 2 seconds will go by, they'll even forget you mooed.
Oh my gosh, I love
awesome.
that.
It works so much fun too.
I'm going to start trying it. That's a great strategy. So I thank you so much for coming on and
my pleasure.
Like having this incredible wealth of knowledge over here where literally teaches us something new and different, and that is the purpose of having the Lunch and Learns, is to get parents to really think outside the box.
Nice.
And not be confined to our system and the way that our system has taught us to move or educate. Rather, how do we get to educe a bit more, and also get some awareness for ourselves, right?
Nice.
As an educator, I get to learn every single day, so you have taught me a ton today, so thank you for that.
My pleasure.
And before we go, I wanted to ask you one thing. One more tool that parents can use to help enhance their life as a family.
Have you ever had a friend that you thought they were upset at you, and a day goes by, 2 days go by, a week goes by, 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks go by, and finally that friend looks at you and goes, "Are you mad at me? Are you upset at me? Did I do something?" And you go, "No, I thought you were mad at me." So instead of actually open communication and asking, you make up stories in your mind. One of the greatest tools is just being communication. That's it. Ask the person. Instead of, "I think they're mad at me," hold on a second. "Are you mad at me?" "No." "Oh, cool. Boom. Done. Great. Fantastic."
And I love that you said story, because also parents, I would invite you to ask yourself, when your child is behaving a certain way, ask yourself, what story am I creating right now? What am I interpreting about myself that will engage in something else, right?
Yeah, and what are you making it mean?
What are you making it mean?
Yeah,
Communication and communicate,
That's
ask.
Yeah.
What a simple and yet so powerful tool.
Exactly.
Like, so many times I know that I don't ask the things that I'm thinking, and all I have to do is ask and get a response.
It's amazing. It's
amazing.
Mind-blowing.
That's awesome. So Ron, thank you so much for being here with us.
My pleasure.
Tell the parents where we can find you. Ronspeak.com.
Ronspeak.com is my website, RONSPEAK.com. I post videos twice a day on YouTube from different workshops and trainings that I offer. It's Ron Shua Lee, SHUALI. MED. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and you can just reach out to me for any parent coaching stuff, especially if you ever have a situation with bullying, because that's one of my passions. Where I wrote a book on behavior management called Building the 21st Century Child. I also wrote a book called Breaking the Bullying Circle, that the introduction is about when I was 12 years old. I tried to take my own life in a military academy because I chose not to fight back. And what's happening in our school systems now is we're teaching kids, if you defend yourself, you're in trouble, which is why they stay victims longer, which is why you see bully sides and why you see school shootings that haven't happened in a long time. And I'm actually putting out a song that's an animated song that I just got done that I can't wait to blow it up all over the country, called If You Want to Stop a Bully. And it also it shows how to block, it shows how to kick, it shows how to do a hammer fist. So it's open communication. If you believe that you're sending your kids to public school and the school's just going to protect them, then that's a story in your mind. Talk to your kids, and especially have a conversation, open communication with your kids. If somebody hits you, here's my expectation of what I want you to do, and when you get suspended, you will for 2 days, because schools don't know what to do and they have to cover themselves. When you get suspended, I'm taking a day off of work. I know, mind-blowing. I'm taking you out for pizza and ice cream. We're going to go, and you know what I tell people to do? On the day that they get suspended, write that date down, September 27th. Every single year, celebrate that as the day that they stood up for themselves. And then every year, you'll be re-acknowledged for standing up for yourself and standing up for other people.
Wow. I feel like that could be in its own, like an entire different conversation.
That's a whole other conversation.
Because there is that dynamic between the person being bullied and the bully himself or herself.
Absolutely.
So that's a beautiful thing that you get to talk about and heal. I think part of it is also healing. And taking a stance for self, and also healing from that experience, or healing from being either the bully or being victimized.
I'm already healed because that's happened in the past. And it's not happening now. And that's the thing that I'm very clear about. When I do workshops and trainings, I can go back there and physically show my emotional state for people to understand how I felt back then. But that's done. What happened 10 years ago, what happened 5 minutes ago, is what happened 5 minutes ago. I don't live in my past. I go forward and I continue to move forward. I mostly live in my future, which is why also a lot of people ask me, it's like, what did I just say 5 minutes ago? I don't know, it's 5 minutes ago. You should remember from what you said. It's not my job.
Yeah, I love it. I love that, and this is powerful, because imagine if your children, and I know many of probably even clients that I've worked with who have experienced bullying and have created the story of victim, and so they live in that story for years and years and years. So imagine,
it's even good if you're an adult and somebody's bullying you at work, try the power look, because the same exact thing that I teach kids. So when I do a bullying assembly program, I teach kid victims or potential victims, use the power look, and you say one word, and the word is and. So if you say to me, you're fat, and you're ugly, and you're smelly, and literally every time you go and you do the power look, you're like and literally you're putting the responsibility of the bully back on the bully. And then what I do, and this kind of gets teachers a little scared, but I tell the principal I'm going to do it, is I and then going to walk around the entire assembly program with 200 kids. I'm going to bully the kids, and I'm going to look for specific things. And I go around, and I have third graders, your glasses are ugly, and they go and your feet smell, and your hair's stupid, and I say things like that, and the teachers are going like this, but the kids are like and then I have teachers come up to me going, oh my God, that girl's always picked on. I didn't think she was going to do it. I thought she was going to break down, because they're making up stories in their mind, and she said that. It's amazing. I'm just like, yeah, well, give them tools to use as opposed to just thinking. You know, parents say, stand up for yourself. What the hell does that mean? Defend yourself. What does that mean? Oh, when somebody tries to hit you, put your hands up. When somebody says something to you, you do this. You got to give specific tools so that they actually know what to do, instead of doing something broad and then just expecting them to figure it out. Because, I mean, it's like, okay, listen, you see your car, it's broken, fix it.
What? Part of that communication,
exactly.
Being clear about, because I think a lot, it happens to parents, and it happens to, I think for me it happens as well, where I think I'm communicating something but I'm really not, and so it's about being clear and being specific about
and
what it is.
check in with them. So what did I just say? Okay, what did that mean to you? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay, well that's not my intention, so let me say it a different way.
Perfect. Parents, this is awesome. I'm so honored to have had you here. Thank you so very much for coming on, and I think we'll have you again.
Yay!
Next time you come. It's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for watching. Check us out on YouTube. Go to Learning Matters Florida. To find us, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook as well. We'll be posting more videos and having more experts to really get us to a place of possibilities to grow healthy and happy families. So until I see you again, take care. Love your kids. Bye.